All right, we've got to talk. So, complaining doesn't come from your circumstances, it comes from who you are and how you view the world. There's largely speaking people that are complainers and people that aren't. Now, there's an important distinction to make, which is that we're all human beings, and once in a while, we'll all get upset about something and complain about it for a minute or two. It's only normal. But there's people who are chronic complainers, and it's very common, especially in the world that we live in. It's largely speaking you're unconsciously telling yourself that you're a victim and that life happens to you and that you have no control over everything, or really anything for that matter. That being said, we aren't in control of absolutely everything, but there are many things that we can control in our reality that we play off as, oh, it's up to God, or it's up to the universe, or God hates me and now it's just everything's flowing at me in the worst way possible and I can't do anything about it. This is the common victim mindset, and we usually don't know we have it until, of course, you watch a video like this. But even if you're not in that cohort specifically, there's just an important concept here, which is that we oftentimes let things get to us on an emotional basis from something someone said to us, from an unfortunate event that happened or unfolded. We don't always control the emotional experience that we have at first, but we can control where it goes. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of times where we get angry or frustrated or upset, and the second that comes in, we let it overtake our physiology and every thought in our mind, and then it just plagues our reality, ruins the rest of our day, the rest of our week, sometimes our month. And we have a short period of time actually in when that emotion is first coming up where we can actually combat it by thinking logically about the situation and thinking further ahead, which is usually showing us that this thing isn't actually going to matter in reality in 5 minutes from now, let alone a day from now. And so we don't need to let it bring everything tumbling down. It's like, you're a little bit upset that you have to sit in an extra 15 minutes of traffic today. Oh crap, I gotta get home and get to my routine of watching my TV show. It's like, what are we rushing for? What if God is telling you to slow down? What if you're living so fast that you're not actually living at all? And you're just not even really experiencing anything. You're just you really got to ask yourself, like, throughout most of your days, how often are you actually here? How often do you actually take a second to just know exactly where you are and process everything, take a few deep breaths and soak it in and be a little bit grateful that you exist compared to not existing? And so that's something that's really helped me. And even when the times where I'm sad or upset, it's like, how grateful am I to even have the opportunity to experience this emotion? Because I could be feeling nothing at all. And, well, you may be telling yourself, oh, since it's so bad, I'd rather be feeling nothing at all. And I get that, because there's been plenty of times in which I felt that too, when it seems like there's so much suffering. But there's also another distinction to make, which is that there's a difference between pain and suffering. And pain is inevitable. I mean, will all experience the pains of heartbreak, of things going wrong, of something not working out in our favor, or a tragedy occurring. But suffering is when that thing happens, staying there for an extended period of time when you don't have to. For example, when something like death occurs, for somebody that you're close to, that may be a prolonged experience in which you're experiencing the emotional experiences that aren't very favorable. But in a lot of the more minor cases, which is most of the time of what's happening, we just let things get to us and just ruin everything. It's like, I think it's somewhat of a quote, I don't know who it's by, but it's like, was your day really that bad, or did you just let like one 5-minute event just carry on for the rest of your day and just influence everything? And so this is what we really have to pay attention to, which is that we're constantly creating our reality. And when we complain, the power of our perception is one of the greatest gifts we have in our entire lives. We choose how we continue to react to things. The initial reaction is just what we're conditioned to do, which is, I feel very angry because someone said this or they pissed me off. But you have awareness, which is the gift as a human being, and you can choose to complain about this thing that happened, or you can be proactive about it and show yourself that you don't need to sulk in it. But you often, here, it's really important to break this down. You're going to have a natural inclination to complain about it, because that's what every single person around you does. It's what you've been doing your whole life, and it's what we're told we're supposed to do. Now, we're not told, of course, hey, you should complain, but we're shown by everyone else complaining that it's okay for us to do it too. A lot of these things stem from childhood. Maybe you had an overbearing mother, or people in your family would always complain about this is happening, and if it was around finances, if it was around the relationship your mom had with your dad, of like, oh, he's always like this. It's like these things instantly create programs in the back of your mind that influence the reality for the rest of your life. And it's really important to become aware of these things, and how a lot of us are chronic complainers. I was on vacation with one of my friends during the winter time, actually in December. So where I live in wintertime, it's freezing. It's very cold. And so we went down to, perfect example, they just went to mow the lawn and I got pissed off and almost let it get to me, and then brought the awareness so it didn't. So back to what I was saying about the story when I was on vacation. So it was in December, and we're walking on a beach, beautiful weather, 90 degrees, and my friend turns to me, he's like, oh dude, like it's so hot. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting you say that, because it's like the second that we go back to where we live and it's freezing, we'll be complaining that it's cold. And so we have to realize that usually when we complain, whatever we actually want usually isn't what we actually want. We're just convincing ourselves that we want it. So it's like when it's hot, we want it to be cold. We want it to be cold. When it's cold, we want it to be hot. And nothing's ever good enough for us. So that's the really important distinction to make. That's very deep rooted, of how you never feel like anything in reality is good enough for you. So you have to ask yourself, like, what are you disconnecting from? And again, how much are you living in the moment and here, and how much are you living in your head? You'll notice that probably about 95% of the time you're living in your head, and 5% of your life is actually lived here. And I promise you, when you start to live life here more, things get a lot more exciting, they get a lot more creative, you become a lot more aware, you build beautiful relationships, you start to actually attract the people that are right for you, instead of staying in relationships with people that don't ever give you what you want, and you guys are never flourishing together. And you feel a lot more connected to yourself, and you actually figure out what you want in this life, and then you plan to go out and do it, and then you take the action to do so. But you have to notice that it's very difficult to do any of that when you're complaining. Because if you're complaining about women, or about men, or about your job situation, that means that you have no control over it. Because if you had control over it, wouldn't you do something about it? Now, a lot of us don't have the commitment level to actually change something. We just sit there and go, like, I've been at the job I hear this all the time, I've been at the job for 5 years, like, I'm used to it, I'm comfortable, like, what's going to happen if I quit it? Well, could be the best decision you've ever made, but you're not making it, so you'll never know. And in fact, you'll stay miserable. And it's like, whoa, we don't want to do that. Like, I've been with my girlfriend for 10 years, but it's just over the last 5 years has gotten so toxic. She never does anything for me anymore, and it seems like she doesn't even love me. Why are you staying? And even deeper question, why aren't you confronting these things why aren't you confronting the reality about your life? And how you're sitting here and choosing, because that's what you're doing. Even when you haven't made a choice to do something, you're still making a choice. You're making a choice to complain and do nothing. And so that's what we think is, like, when we avoid problems and things that we're experiencing, we think we're avoiding the situation. Like, oh yeah, it's a defense mechanism, like I don't have to deal with it. You're just avoiding reality, and you're avoiding the best reality possible, in fact. Because if you actually made the shifts necessary, that you probably already know what you need to do, you're just not doing it, man, the grass is greener. You get on the other side of the fence and it's greener. It's nicer. Stop shutting yourself down. I mean, I used to do this in my life all the time. I convinced myself I wasn't a creative person. I convinced myself I wasn't good enough. I convinced myself I wasn't qualified to do the things that I do now. And then just when I started doing them, even when I wasn't fully an expert or fully knew 100% of the material, which you can go to school for 10 years, you'll never know everything. It's like, what makes an expert? Somebody that's willing to go out and do the work and do whatever it takes, even if you're not fully compatible to where you want to be at the current moment in time. So the representation of a becoming successful individual, and by successful I don't mean like material wealth per se, I mean like feeling good within your experience on an everyday basis, you have to cut out the complaining. It can't be in existence, because you'll notice very quickly that the second you start to complain about it, number one, you probably make yourself, you feel like you don't actually feel, notice how you don't actually feel better about yourself. You're doing it to make yourself feel better. You don't actually feel better. And then on top of that, you're probably complaining to another person who is just as unconscious as you are. So they're holding the space for you and say, oh yeah, oh my god, it was so bad that they did that, and oh yeah, that really sucks, and blah blah blah. you're both not addressing anything here, and you're both living out your delusions day after day. Have a little bit more faith. Not even necessarily in God or a religion or spiritual basis, but have a little bit of faith in yourself and your ability to do something with your life, because you're genuinely, you're not the victim. No matter how many horrible things have happened to you that quite literally weren't in your control, these have of course created patterns in your mind that have led you to look at life in a way that isn't productive or healthy, and it's also not truthful. Any general basis that we make most of the time of like, oh, men are like this, women are like this, people are like this. I hear this all the time. I don't like people. No, it's not that you don't like people. You would love if someone cared about you, and you've never gotten that before, so now you project that you just hate people because you've been done wrong by 5 people, maybe even 15 people. But that 15 being done wrong by 15 people doesn't make all 8 billion people the worst human, the most vile creatures in this life of yours. So you have to take yourself out of the delusion and start living in reality. Now, of course, you don't have to take that advice. You could just keep being miserable. But if you've made it this far in the video, you obviously don't want to do that anymore, because then you would say, oh, screw this guy just telling me that I should stop being a victim and actually do something in my life. Oh, I can't do anything about that. Good luck with that. You won't get anywhere. So, looping it back, the shifts you have to make may be massive ones, or they could be very small. Some of the massive ones, maybe I have to shift my friends that I'm spending time with. I have to spend less time with them. I have to reevaluate my romantic relationship, or I have to reevaluate myself if I've been single for a long time and how I'm going about the dating experience. Am I unsatisfied in dating, but I'm not even doing anything to meet people? Because that's oftentimes the most common thing I run to is like guys come to me and they're like, dude, my dating life sucks. Like, I don't know how to, I don't know how to interact with women. I can't do it. It's like, well, number one, because you don't understand women. And a part of the reason why you don't understand women is because you don't understand yourself. You haven't ever experienced your emotions or experienced the sensitive side of you, which does exist, you just reject because I'm a man. And so now you can't understand yourself or women, so what makes you think that women are going to be attracted to you? Of course they're not. And so once you tap into these parts of you a little bit more, dating becomes easier, analyzing what you're passionate about becomes easier, taking action becomes easier, thinking about quitting your job and taking action on it becomes a lot easier, or at least starting that side hustle until you can actually realistically quit your job. Because look, sometimes the instant realization once you start to connect to the truth a little bit deeper about your life is, the truth is like, I need to get out of this job. But the reality may be my finances aren't showing me that like I can directly leave this tomorrow. So okay, let's create a vision and move towards it. If I have to work the job for the next 6 months or even a year or whatever it is, I'll do that while on the side building out these things. You have to commit to building those things out. When I worked my restaurant job for a while, I told myself that I was committing to building my coaching business. I wasn't really committed to it. I would spend maybe an hour or 2 a day on it after I was exhausted from work and I was not in a good mood anymore. It's like, oh, I don't feel like doing it right now. It's, if you only do the things when you feel like it, you'll not only feel bad, but you also have to realize that even when you don't feel like doing things, when you start doing them, you often get into the flow, and then you actually genuinely start enjoying doing the things. And so discipline is usually, everyone talks about discipline online of you got to do it when it's uncomfortable, and you don't want to do it when you don't feel like it. And you may have a bad workout and so on and so forth, and yeah, you might not get into the flow every single time. But in my experience, most of the time I do. My mind is expanded, creativity starts to float in, and I'm not a victim anymore because I'm taking control of my reality. No longer am I a slave to the job, but I'm helping it aid me to get to where I want to go and eventually leave that and move on somewhere. Life is about growth. It's about expansion. You probably shouldn't be doing the same thing for 40 years straight. Have you ever thought about that? No, if it's your top tier passion, you're building businesses around it, or you're in that job career field that it lights up your soul. Okay, yeah, maybe you want to do it for 40 years plus. Maybe you want to do it until your last breath, and that's absolutely exceptional because a lot of people don't find that. But generally speaking, there's a lot of things in our life that we shouldn't be doing for 40 years. So it's the way you're going about relationships now, the way you're treating yourself, you shouldn't be doing this stuff for the next 40 years. There needs to be shifts, there needs to be evolution. And also, on the relationship basis, some people are oh, I've been with this person for a while and they're starting to change a little bit. And it's oh yeah, they're changing. It's how human beings are. We're dynamic. We're not static beings. Although sometimes we shut ourselves down and we are very static, meaning we just stay in the same place. We're meant to grow. So when your partner is growing and when things are changing, when their mindset on the world is shifting, Have open dialogues about it and encourage them and encourage yourself to grow with them. Because if they're going here and you're staying here, it's not going to work. And then you're going to blame them for it not working when really you're just not willing to be an open-minded person and flexible to outgrow certain old bad tendencies and thought patterns you had in ways and beings and modes of which you were engaging in your relationship dynamic. So you want to be active in all of these shifts, and this is the importance of, like we were talking about before, living here, taking that 5% of usually living here and 95% in your head and bridging the gap between that and creating a much larger percentage where you're actually here, so that you can be intentional with everything you're doing, know why you're doing it, and actually track, being able to either like physically on a spreadsheet or just like mentally track the progress that you have, or a combination of both, that you're actually doing something in your life. It's like we should be waking up every day and actually believing that we're making a little bit of progress, even if we don't see all of it in reality float to us exactly how we want it to go, and we're not as successful as we want to be yet. We should be able to see at least those little small incremental steps. If day after day, year after year, you don't see any of that, you have to look at yourself. It's not about the world. Look, I can agree with you that the government doesn't care about you. I can agree with you that the school system doesn't care about you. I can agree that most people don't care about you. But what? Because that large sum of society doesn't care? It means you can't care about you? It means you're unlovable? It means you can't build anything for yourself? Sure, there's barriers in the way. Break through the barriers. That's what it means to create your own reality. That's what it means to be a man. To take what you desire and create it. A lot of us are just being, oh, I can't do this today. You're just being thrown everywhere. Oh, this person said I have to go. This person needs my help, so I have to go here and do that. If you can't help them today, say no. Oh no, I'm a bad person then. No, you're just a people pleaser. And the reason as to why you keep doing these things for people all the time is because you're hoping you get something in return, which you never do. And then you build up resentment for those people as you're doing good things. That's why the nice person, the nice guy, is an illusion. It's not. You're not being nice at all. It's very backhanded. And so we have to be a little bit selfish to create the reality we want. And you invite people who are currently in your life and your relationships to grow with you. And if they don't want to grow with you and you outgrow them, so be it. I'll give you an example. I was actually a concept I've been exploring a lot more recently is the sensitivity that a lot of us have that we reject in ourselves, especially as men. It's like, being sensitive is a feminine trait. Like, it makes me feel weird and uncomfortable, and like I'm experiencing like what you're experiencing is the reality of the situation and what's flowing throughout you. So let's not reject that. So I was out to dinner, and I felt very disconnected, but I tried to go in there to feel connected. And my girlfriend and I were talking about it after, and I just felt very sad. And she noticed that. And she's very good at noticing these things within me. That's what you need, a partner who, when you're feeling anything, she notices or he notices, and they point it out, and you have a conversation about it, and they don't let it just go. Because a lot of people, you notice your partner's off, and you're just like, oh, let me just give them space, let them figure it out. I don't want to like pressure them. It's like, no, you got to put a little bit of pressure on them. It's what serves the relationship and you guys. But anyway, I felt very disconnected, and she just looks at me and she's like, look, sometimes you outgrow people. And I was reflecting on it a little bit more, and I realized I feel like I've outgrown everyone that's been in my life for so long. And I've just kept them there. And I've worked to spend less and less time with them, which I've done, and work on it. But it gets to a point where you come to the realization that there's certain people that no longer align with you. And there's nothing that you can do to change that. Now, that being said, sometimes we delude ourselves and just convince ourselves that, oh yeah, there's nothing I can do to fix the situation, then you're just being distant from it. But sometimes you've tried everything, and you just realize you're on a different page. And it's worth accepting that. And whether you've outgrown them or they've outgrown you, you're just going in different paths. And that's okay. Obviously, there's some people in our lives that stay forever, and there's some people that are there for a year, and there's some people that are there for 20 years, and it's the way reality operates. As long as you know you're doing everything in your power to grow in your personal life and invite people in your relationships to do the same, the people that are connected to you and have the same values and are flexible and open-minded will grow with you. The people that aren't, they won't, and they'll stay in the same place, and you'll grow. So don't let them hold you back, because you spending that more time with yourself or with the people that are helping you grow compared to people that aren't, in 2 years from now, you'll experience a massive amount of growth, and you'll probably, if you ever see those people again, you'll probably see that they're in the exact same place or they've made very little progress because they refuse to become aware of the reality of their situation and how they're not doing anything to grow. Now they're just doing the same thing over and over again to, a lot of the pleasurable things we do, we like to say, well, it just helps me enjoy reality more. When you really have to ponder, why does reality not feel good enough? Now I'm talking about this specifically in like people who are sober and not sober. It's like, because when you are intoxicated, you feel like you can go up to women and now you're more confident. It's like, well, where's that confidence when you're not intoxicated? Oh, it's just not there. Like I don't know, and you avoid the conversation entirely. It's there. The alcohol just helped you bring it out a little bit more. So what if we could develop ourselves so that we don't have to drink, and then we can just present ourselves? And that's the most important and attractive quality to attract a beautiful relationship as well. I mean, I went to my girlfriend at a coffee shop at 10 a.m. when I was sober. Not that I ever really drink at all, but the point is, people can appreciate people who have values for themselves, who are working towards things, who are looking to grow. Because just the fact of you taking time out of your day to go up to somebody that you don't know, whether it's in a romantic level, you find someone attractive, whether it's a business opportunity, whether it's just someone that looks cool, you like their hat, you want to give them a compliment, it takes a certain level of an individual, a non-complainer, an action taker, a master of their own reality, to take that initiative and do it. And that's one of, if not the most attractive qualities that you can have as a man to present to women. And again, it's presenting it isn't saying, I'm a leader, I can do these things, I'm tapped into my intuition. No, it's just showing that. And that's how you create everything that you've ever desired. But you have to start with asking yourself these deep questions of, why do I not feel this currently, and what am I doing actively in reality to hold myself back from ever discovering these things? And what is it about my work that just allows me to just lack creativity all the time, to feel like life is boring? Take a few more trips. Take a little bit of time off. Reflect on the reality of your life. And if life was the same for the next 5 years, how would you feel in 5 years from now? You'll probably come to the conclusion that you would feel absolutely horrible. And you had that thought minorly 5 years ago about the same thing. And now you're living that 5-year reality gap. And it's like, oh crap. Now you could just beat yourself up and say, oh yeah, it's happened for 5+ years, so I can't do anything about it. Victim mentality, avoid that. So just soak into the fact that you have the power and nobody's going to come and save you. You have to save yourself. Now that being said, there's often going to be opportunities that come to you, regardless of whether you the complainer or not. There's still opportunities that come to the complainer. They just don't see that the opportunities are there because they're so used to, it's also interesting because as a complainer, you also take positive situations and make them worse. When someone's trying to help you, you convince yourself that they're just doing it to help themselves. And so it's really interesting how this plagues our entire reality. And we have to understand that this, even if the reason as to why we have complained for so long was because we've been conditioned by other people, it's our responsibility to change this, because nobody's going to do it for us. And that it's no longer those people of the past that are influencing us, but just programs in our mind that we're experiencing, and they're just playing out. So when you become aware of those, you can start to rewire your brain, shift them, not only by these mindset shifts, but also actually in reality, shifting these things. So that's the most important piece. Pondering plus pondering, reflection, taking action in reality, and you'll be on your way to becoming an action taker and not even feeling the need to complain anymore, really, at all. If you're really looking to level up and create the best version of yourself, I run a community of over 50 men where we're focused on self-improvement, advancing our relationships, growing spiritually. We hop on a few group calls online each week, have a group chat, bunch of lecture material that's exclusive to them. So if that sounds like it could be helpful, I will leave the link in the description and the comment section if you want to take a look at it. And I hope to see you in there, and I'll see you in the next video.